Babin. I'd like to thank all of our panelists for being here. I was hoping maybe next time we could get a few more degrees on the panel. With all these doctors, for a second I thought I was in a hospital, but I'm glad I'm not in a hospital. So it's great to see all of you. Dr. Scott, I wanted to, number one, thank you for the service you've already given to this great country. You took great risk upon yourself and created something that brought us to where we are today, which is why we're even having this discussion. So thank you for your service and all you've already done. Dr. Goward, I wanted to address your comments earlier. I read your testimony, and I had a different takeaway from what I just heard. And I wanted to see if maybe I could have you maybe enlighten us a little more about what your thoughts are going forward. One of the things I read is it says, today, with the maturing of new sensor and satellite technologies, the opportunity exists to fly at least 4 Landsat observatories at the same total cost as a single satellite, which uses the traditional technology of Landsat 8. So when you talk about these new technologies, your testimony that I read sounded a lot like Mr. Schingler. Can you share with us your thoughts? Do you believe we can move towards a Landsat kind of commercial capability? Can you turn on your microphone, please?
Thank you. I'm not sure it would be commercial. I mean, that's really outside of my purview in many ways. But my former student and colleague, Darrell Williams, and I put together an EV2 proposal through Global Science and Technology. And in that, we worked with Surrey Satellite. And it's a US-based company at this time. And we did a proposal which showed that for about $130 million, we could build a prototype system. Wouldn't be fully complementary with Landsat, but sufficiently to supplement and complement Landsat. And that's substantially less than what this last Landsat 8 has cost us. GST then went on to do further work with Surrey in a fully complementary Landsat mission, was able to demonstrate that for about $250 million, they could build a fully complementary system. It's my view that we should give this a try now and get that technology out on the table because, again, from our scientific experience, I don't believe that the commercial potential of the Landsat mission will be realized until we get, as my colleague to the right mentioned, daily repeat coverage.
Right. Okay.
The land dynamics just happen too fast, and you don't see it every 16 days when clouds block you at least 50% of the time.
Okay. I'm running out of time here. I wanted to move to Dr. Pace. You mentioned in your testimony that the Earth Sciences missions have, the demands have grown and the requirements have grown, and yet there are opportunities where we can share the cost because there are non-NASA customers potentially. And you mentioned Landsat as one of those places where we could do commercialization, but then you mentioned that it was precluded by Congress. I'm very interested in this. Why did Congress preclude this?
Well, my understanding is, if I read the NASA Appropriations Conference report, it states, quote, the committee conference does not concur with various administration efforts to develop alternative out-of-the-box approaches to this data collection, referring to Landsat, whether they are dependent on commercial or international partners. And so essentially this said, build another Landsat satellite similar to what you've already been building. And I have a sense of deja vu with this because I was the guy at the Commerce Department who was told to get Landsat out of the Commerce Department at that time, so I wasn't very popular with my other agency colleagues. One of the things that we looked at were alternatives for LightSat or SmallSat versions of Landsat in 1992. We were taking advantage of some SDI technologies that had come out of Livermore Laboratories and other places. And so there were theoretical designs, and they were all just that, theoretical, but for LightSat versions of Landsat that Dr. Goward was also talking about. And so it strikes me that today, given the greater design maturity and experience we have with small satellites, that we should go back and be looking at more innovative ways of doing things. The reason we wanted to look at small sats back then is we felt that cost growth would be a problem for any agency that took over Landsat. And so that's why I said in my testimony that if we simply continue with only the traditional practices, that is actually going to be more risky than having some innovative options in the portfolio that could lower costs in the longer term.
Okay, and I'm out of time, Mr. Chairman, but as far as the appropriations, I guess, conference report, that language is unfortunate. I don't think that necessarily reflects the view of a lot of people that serve on this committee on both sides of the aisle. So I need to delve down into that a little bit more. Maybe, Mr. Chairman, if we could do a second round, I'd appreciate that. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you.